It was 6 a.m. this morning. I woke up in my bed, which is also a sofa. That's never a bed. And I realized that it was too early for this shit. But I had to get up. Because I knew that later today, I would be here, sitting in front of this audience of tens. Sometimes. Usually less than tens. But tens of you who are going to be looking at me and realizing that I'm here. That we're here. The podcast is here. And it's never going away. Because me and Marshall, we're home. Right here. On the podcast live. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the 52nd, 53rd, 50th annual Sunday podcast. I am joined by my regular junior co-host, Marshall Peterson, and we are going to be getting right into some kind of flimsy information today.
I don't know, man. Do you want me to take it?
Yeah.
Okay, so Fallout fans, what we are talking about today, me and Putty, is the very decent possibility of a new Fallout game being developed by Obsidian. This game being set in Louisiana, more specifically New Orleans, a very obviously important city in the history of the United States. For those of you who don't know, it is. And a lot of this information is, some of it's fresh, and some of the information I'll be bringing to you guys is a little bit older, but I think it's a good setup. So I think where this really starts, to give you guys a basis, is about 4 years ago. Is before we even knew Fallout 4 was being made. I mean, we knew it was probably being made, but we didn't officially know. The CEO of Obsidian, Mr. Urquhart, I think is how his name is pronounced. He has a sort of weird name. Fergus Urquhart, was being interviewed, and he said in an interview, when asked if Obsidian would like to make another Fallout game, he said they'd like to do a Fallout New Vegas 2, and that they'd like to do, he talked about other locations. He talked about doing one in the Boneyard, and he also referenced specifically doing a Fallout in New Orleans. Those are the three locations that he said that if Obsidian did another Fallout, those are the locations that he, and I think by extension his team, would be interested in doing it in. Now, I'm not sure if he's speaking on behalf of his team, but definitely he's speaking on behalf of himself, that he would like, that 4 years ago, they would like to do a Fallout game in the Boneyard, which is LA, for those of you who don't know, another one in New Vegas, or one in New Orleans. Now, that is just sort of the seed for this. Now, about, August? About 8 months ago, Josh Sawyer posted on his Instagram. Would you like me to link to you any of this stuff, Putty, while I'm talking here?
If it's no trouble?
Yeah, sure. About 8 months ago, Josh Sawyer posted on his Instagram a picture of 3 memo books, all saying field notes, with a picture of the great state of Louisiana. It says Louisiana on them. And he said in the caption, "Now is the time." Now, Josh Sawyer later specifically iterated that him and Obsidian, their official Twitter, both specifically iterated that this had nothing to do with Fallout. Now, at the time I saw this, and once they denied it immediately, I was like, okay, probably has nothing to do with anything. He said that Josh Sawyer did specifically say that this has to do with an upcoming project of theirs, but is not Fallout related. So something to do with Louisiana, or something to do with a project Louisiana, but not Fallout related. At the time I was like, okay, yeah, they're probably not making a new Fallout. This has nothing to do with that, like they said. Now, recently, on August the 10th, on the European Union Intellectual Property Office, what a big word, right? They had a trademark filed from someone who is, their name remains confidential until the trademark is fully processed, a trademark for Fallout New Orleans. It comes with its own picture. It basically looks like what you would think a Fallout New Orleans picture would look like. It just says Fallout in the caption and New Orleans under it, and it's in line with what Fallout 4's logo looked like. So it's keeping with Bethesda's brand currently. and it is a trademark for trademark classes 9, 16, 25, and 41. If you're not familiar with European Union intellectual property laws, which I was not until I did a little bit of research, basically those 4 classes cover things like video game boxes, video game discs, like anyone sells those anymore.
Those are the exact same 4 classes that Fallout 4's trademarks registered under in the same... but when Fallout 4 was registered, it laid out how they would use those 4 classes more extensively.
Yeah. So the 4 classes, like he said, they basically cover anything that Bethesda or any company would want to sell for a video game. Posters, T-shirts, clothing, all sorts of shit. Yeah. Just whatever. Game boxes, all that stuff. And of course, I think it covers, obviously, the game digital content itself.
Yes.
So those are 4 important classifications, because with those 4 classifications, whoever has this trademark, if it goes through, they pretty much can do whatever they want with the brand.
This is a trademark. I'm not saying this doesn't confirm that they're making the game, but if you were making the game, those classes would be the things you'd cover in the trademark.
So if someone faked this trademark, they did their homework.
Yeah. Sure.
Now. The trademark is under figurative type, which is the same type that Fallout 4 was under, which I think is interesting because I did a little research on this, and I think it should be figurative with words, but I'm no lawyer, because there's a bunch of types, and one of them is figurative with words, and I would think that this is figurative with words because literally says Fallout New Orleans in the picture, but they think it's just an image, not an image with words. And Fallout 4 was also a figurative image, even though it says words on it. So I don't get how that works at all. Who knows?
Bro, you don't understand. Todd Howard's all about the image of the words.
yeah. No. They're like those aren't words. Those are pictures. Each one of them is an artwork of what the apocalypse represents.
So the trademark on its own means not a lot, but something Marshall has found recently.
One thing I also, just a little more on the trademark is I went through and thought, how hard is it to make a trademark? It's actually pretty easy, but it costs 1,200 euros, and you have to pay it up front. Okay, so if someone was trolling us, they are a rich fucking troll.
I don't think rich, but reasonably wealthy.
I'm sorry, you have to be reasonably wealthy to throw away $1,200 on a joke. Like,
I think with the enjoyment you get
either
out
that
of it,
or psychotic.
Hobbies.
What?
I think with the enjoyment you get out of that, I think you can compare it to certain hobbies for a middle class person.
I get what you mean. So
the internet talked about it a lot. I bet if it was a hoax, they're pretty happy with it.
Yeah, that's true. The internet has talked about it. We're talking about it.
But we don't talk about every piece of Fallout news. We're only talking about this because
the next thing is very important. So, for those of you who don't know, there is a channel on YouTube called the Quest Gaming Network. It's kind of an interesting channel. I just recently discovered it. And they do a podcast called Fallout Off the Record. Occasionally, they bring on guests from the Fallout world, various, people who have worked on the games in various capacities. And a lot of times they don't have a guest. They just talk about news in Fallout. It's just a Fallout podcast. There's quite a few of them. This one seems pretty good. It's an interesting one. But they brought on recently, 2 days after this trademark was filed, Josh Sawyer, the man, the legend, the lead developer on Fallout New Vegas. He was the lead on all of Fallout New Vegas and the lead on Honest Hearts. He was not the lead on the other 3 DLC, but he was also the lead on Gunrunner's Arsenal, if that counts. So basically, he was the lead on Fallout New Vegas, Honest Hearts, and Gunrunner's Arsenal. Chris Avellone was the lead on Old World Blues,
Dead Money,
and Lonesome Road, which obviously, he did a fantastic job. Yep. But Josh Sawyer also did a fantastic job with the vanilla game. And you can see their different styles. Yes. You can see black and white between their different styles.
Chris Avellone is a storytelling.
He's a madman. Yeah, he's a madman with a pencil, basically.
And Josh Sawyer is a excellent RPG developer.
Yeah, and I also think Josh Sawyer is jack of all trades. He's also really good with character. He wrote Arcade Gannon and his entire quest line personally, which is a fantastic character. He wrote Chief Hanlon. Which is one of the coolest NCR characters there is, in my opinion.
I'm willing to bet he wrote Raoul.
I don't think he did. I think the only companion he wrote fully is Arcade. He laid out the format for all the companions. Like he said, we're gonna have a ghoul who's like his name's Raoul, but he didn't. I don't think he wrote Raoul. I don't know who did. Anyway, I think Chris Avellone wrote Veronica, but I'm not sure. I'm not sure who. I think someone important wrote.
Well, Veronica's storyline kind of mixes in with what Avellone did later, so yeah.
So that would make sense. Anyway, we're getting a little bit Fallout nerdy. This doesn't really have to do. Anyway, he's a great developer. We
should get on to the main point though, because that's
exactly
really important.
The main point is, and we'll have links for this, but at 32 minutes in, pretty much on the dot, into the interview, he was just talking about the development of Fallout New Vegas, and one of the two hosts asked him, "What projects are you working on currently?" And he said, and I quote, this is sort of paraphrasing because I don't have it written down, but
I can quote.
Oh, you can quote for word for word. Perfect. Please do.
"The project I'm currently working on is Project Louisiana."
There you go. He then so there you go.
I think.
You guys, he basically said that, and he later says that the last project I was working on was what's interesting is he says the last project I was working on was Pillars of Eternity. He literally almost says Fallout. And then he says Pillars of Eternity, and he laughs like nervously, like, which I think is a little bit like from a psychoanalytic standpoint.
I think that's because he's on a Fallout podcast. He's talking about Fallout for half an hour.
That's true, but I don't know. Seemed nervous to me. What are you trying to hide? No, but in all seriousness, he did say that he's working on a Project Louisiana, which of course confirms his previous picture that he posted of those Louisiana guidebooks. And so this sort of connects. Now, the main reason we're talking about this is if that, like Putty said, the validity of a trademark being posted on its own is not huge. But the validity of that trademark being posted in combination with the lead developer, the man who would almost certainly be in charge of making a Fallout game if Obsidian was put in charge of it, says, "I'm working on Project Louisiana." It would be the biggest coincidence in a while in my life, that I've seen. Like, there aren't many coincidences that big. And now I should say that once again, he has reasoning of why it's called Project Louisiana. He says later in the video that back in Black Isle Studios, if you don't know, he worked with Black Isle, the creators of Fallout 1 and Fallout 2. He says previously in the video that back at Black Isle, they had a naming scheme for all their projects. They would call them Codename Project Van Buren, Codename Project Jefferson. They would do it in the order that presidents became presidents. And at Obsidian, he says that they do it in the order that states entered the Union, hence Project Tennessee, Project Ohio, Project Louisiana. Now, I will say that I have not been able to find any shred of evidence that publicly they have ever referenced these projects as state names. Now, this could mean that they've, up until now, it's been completely an inter-dialogue with them. It's not been something public. That's something Putty pointed out that I think is fair. However, they did, before they had the full name for Pillars of Eternity picked out, they called it Project Eternity. They did not call it Project Tennessee or Project Ohio or whatever. So it seems to me inconsistent at the very least if this is their naming scheme for projects. And personally, it sounds like a little bit of a cover story, but that, So basically, if you want to trust Josh Sawyer and the lads at Obsidian, they are not making a Fallout game. They have said it.
Yeah.
But
this is extremely coincidental. It's
incredibly coincidental. And they, of course, would say it, right?
Yeah.
Like, if they were caught in this obvious coincidence, they would feel hard pressured to And the thing is,
when you look at the quote from the guy at Obsidian about the 3 locations that he was possibly looking at, the guidebooks, that I just think it's
exactly. They were previously saying we want to do this in Obsidian. Now, the final shred of evidence, this is just sort of, this is more coincidence, we'll say. The last project that Mr. Josh was working on was the final DLC for Pillars of Eternity, their isometric RPG. Very good, by the way. I'm only a little bit into it right now, but it's a good game. You should check it out if you like that sort of thing. But the second DLC they released, The White March Part 2, shipped in early February. I think it was early February of 2016. That is when Josh Sawyer began working on this Project Louisiana, as he states it, which, if Bethesda released a new Fallout in November of 2017, which is in line with their release schedule of games, of their release schedule of Fallouts and Skyrims and all that, then that would leave Obsidian exactly 18 months to develop the game to release, which happens to be the exact amount of time they had to develop, that's right, Fallout New Vegas, which is in line with scheduling. So there's a lot. It's like the perfect storm. If this isn't a new Fallout, then the gods have, planned this out to fuck with us, basically. You know?
Yeah.
Do you have any comments on that part of it, on all of the speculation, or anything to add to that? Because I pretty much I've taken all the evidence I know from it that I can lay out. Except one time in an Obsidian stream where I said I liked Fallout New Vegas a lot, and I'd like you guys to work on it again. And the brand manager for Obsidian, or the guy who's in charge of their social media, basically winked at me. So that was something a while ago that I freaked out about. I'm not sure if you can take that at all into context. That has really nothing to do with this. But anything else
like
from
I said
you on
earlier, I just think when you take everything into consideration, I think it's overwhelmingly the evidence points to something going on, and I would be surprised if this wasn't at least something.
Shocked. Now we get to the part of the video that's done with the information part. So I'm glad. hope you guys enjoyed this. If you're watching it on my channel, I'm just gonna basically make a shortened version of this. So if you have anything to say about this, if you think it's real, if you think it's fake, tell me. I'm genuinely interested. If you found any more information that I haven't found, the internet's a big place. I did a little bit of research on this, more research than I think most channels I've seen did, but it's a big place. If you found any information, maybe from other developers at Obsidian, because I have not looked at all their Twitter accounts and shit. I don't even know most of their Twitter accounts. If you have any other information, link it to us. I'd love to see whether it debunks this or continues to add more fuel to our fire. And with that, I hope you enjoyed. Give the video a like and tell me what you think. Now, we're going to talk a little bit about what this could mean, if this is real, assuming that it's real, what it can mean for the future of the series.
Okay, so we're off of your video now?
Yep.
Alright, so I think I'll launch right in, because I think it's my style, with some pessimism, shall we?
Yeah, I gotta get that pessimism after we're done with the hype train clickbait video, right?
Yeah, clearly. So if this is real, we should first mention that we don't know what the team composition is. It is, of course, extremely likely that Obsidian are working on it as a team, like they did.
It should be noted that Obsidian's a bigger team than I think they ever have been, and they're currently working on Tyranny. So that means that half of the team is not, or a good portion of the team is not going to be working on this as their primary project. They're going to be working at Tyranny as their primary project.
Well, what I was considering is that perhaps this is a Bethesda project that people from Obsidian are working on as well.
That is true. Bethesda could have a larger hand in this than we think.
Which would be concerning.
It would be concerning. At the same time, we've commented on this. It seems that there are some people at Bethesda that think like Obsidian, and that writing sort of peaked out at moments in Fallout 4.
But what if Todd Howard is working on it?
Well, then we're fucked. Because he likes to blow things up.
I also mentioned something that I didn't mention during the video part, is you talked about the scheduling. And when you look at the last set of Fallout releases, you're right that the scheduling completely lines up. But there was a big gap between Skyrim's release and Fallout 4's release, between the two main series Bethesda titles. That kind of there isn't really a consistent schedule for Bethesda game releases.
What I mean is they always release it. They seem to release all their main games in November now. That's all I meant.
That's true.
So if they're releasing a new Fallout, I think it would be in November. I think they'd announce it at E3. I think because now they're doing the E3 conferences every year thing, which is funny because when they first did the E3 conference, they're like, oh, we're only going to do this every once in a while when it's really important. The next year, they're like, we're going to do it again. So I think they're doing it every year. And that means I think they're going. If my guess would be, if this is real, they announce the game at their next E3 conference in June of 2017, and they release it in November of 2017, basically in accordance with the same general plan that they did with Fallout 4, which worked well, by the way. It built up a lot of hype quickly for the game, and it, a lot of games, they announce it like 3 years in advance, and everyone's like, okay, can't wait, and they sort of hobble along. It, to Bethesda's credit, they announced it and then they released it fairly quickly, warts and all. So I think they're going to do the same thing with an Obsidian game if they did it. What do you think about that?
Yeah, I could also see them announcing it about a year in advance, announcing it for the 2017 E3, and then releasing it in November of 2018.
You think it might? Well, in that case, I would be totally cool with that because that would give Obsidian 30
the extra year for the bug testing, where they kind of
40
more features.
40% more time for them to work on the game, which is great because I feel like Fallout New Vegas was known as the buggiest game that Bethesda's ever published on release.
I don't think it was more buggy than Fallout 3 on release.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay. Maybe it was just bad
and it had the added benefit that now they've pretty much fixed everything, where Fallout 3 still isn't fixed.
Roasted.
So there's that.
I'm basically it would allow them to fix a lot of the bugs if they had that extra time, and it wouldn't. There are certain things that I've heard, cool things that were cut out of Fallout New Vegas because of time constraints. You were originally going to be able to marry Cass in a drunken wedding held by the king. Okay, I'm sorry, that needs to be a thing. That would be fucking hilarious.
Clearly, we need to cast something on Casting Call Club and make that happen.
And make that mod, yeah. No, that would be so much fun if they had made that. So cool things like that they had to cut out because of time constraints. Obviously, they had more time. Now, I talked about this with Putty. There was something generated as a result of their time pressures that could be viewed as a good thing. Originally, Ulysses was meant to be a companion. He would have been a fantastic companion, I think. But because they didn't have...
Just interrupt, like, do you want to check on your webcam on Skype, and I'll put you in the video?
Are you going to show your webcam?
No, I don't have a webcam.
Well, why am I just showing me then?
Because people like to see a friendly face.
Okay.
And the Enclave soldier's face isn't very friendly.
Okay. My hair's pretty ratchet right now. Anyway, but...
That's offensive.
Ratchet?
You told me. I didn't think so, but you told me.
I don't think the word ratchet... I think I told you another word is offensive.
I use ratchet because...
I use ratchet all the time. I don't think I would...
Because I told you about a wrestler who was called that as a chant, and you were like, that's so offensive.
I don't think it was ratchet, bro.
There's only... it's definitely ratchet, because I know the wrestler, and that's the only thing she's ever been referred to us.
Oh, I'm sorry. I was drunk that day, because I say ratchet all the time. I don't think it's offensive. I love ratchet. Wait, did I say why I thought it was offensive? Like, is it a racial stereotype?
There's something about racial... Yeah, there's something about race.
Damn, now I have to look this up. Okay, anyway.
Your webcam isn't coming up. Sorry, folks.
It's being... Oh, I know why.
Because OBS has it?
OBS is up. Let me turn off OBS. Okay. So, what were we talking about?
Okay, so... It'll come to me. Okay, I'm just gonna put your face on top of the Enclave soldier's face.
Here.
What were we talking? Were we talking about Cass drunken wedding? Something like that.
Yeah. So, but basically, no, we were talking about Ulysses. So Ulysses...
We were not talking about Ulysses.
I was saying one of the things that came out of their time constraints was Ulysses would have been a companion for the game. If they had enough time, they planned on designing him as a companion. This is even confirmed more indirectly by the fact that there was a card released with Ulysses' face on it in the original collector's edition of Fallout New Vegas. So they intended him to be a member of the main game. However, they cut him out for time constraints reasons, and because they sort of just raped the Legion questline because of time constraint reasons. And so I guess they decided if we're going to cut out a companion, it should be the Legion companion, because now the Legion isn't as substantive as it was before. That makes sense in a way. They then, when they had more time later, they gave the companion to Chris Avellone to make into a amazing antagonist for the game in the final DLC, Lonesome
or
Road.
Protagonist,
Or protagonist, depending on how you view strange courier metaphors. No.
Yeah, I mean, if you think Ulysses is an antagonist, then surely the main character is too.
The main character, I think, is what would be called an anti-hero. But he could be the antagonist, I suppose.
Can you stop putting your...
I'm sorry, it's not working, obviously.
Yeah.
I'll stop.
Okay. It's messing up my attempt to put your face on the Enclave soldier is all.
Okay, just put my beautiful face on the Enclave soldier, and then... Are you photoshopping this?
No, I'm doing clever editing.
Okay. I'm now going to bring up your stream to see this clever editing.
I mean, it's not that clever, but... You know.
Well, you got me hyped now. Anyway, so... Yeah, so I think there are positive. I think there are way more positives than there are to negatives to having more time to release a game. Almost out, like, in no way. Yes, I would love them to have more time to make the game. It would be a better game.
I think we've seen in recent years there are development studios that when they have too long to make a game, they will twiddle their thumbs.
They'll overthink it. Maybe?
Yeah, but although the two games I would use as examples you really liked.
Oh
so
God, that crop. That crop.
The two games I would use as examples for that you really liked, so that's probably not a point you'll agree with. The two games I think probably took too long.
BioShock Infinite,
yep.
And I'm going to guess Portal 2.
No, Duke Nukem Forever.
I think Duke Nukem Forever is pretty good. It's not like a favorite game of mine.
Yeah, I know it's not on the same level as BioShock Infinite, I just knew you liked it.
I think I never really liked the Duke Nukem series, so that's why when I see Duke Nukem Forever, I'm like, this is exactly what...
Okay. I see.
To me, it's what Duke Nukem has always been. I think it's very in reverence to the original series, and that is also partially taken because I don't have a huge opinion on it. That's also partially taken from a YouTuber I love who loves Duke Nukem. Like it's his favorite. It was his favorite shooter growing up, and he loved Duke Nukem Forever. And so I think his opinion rubbed off on me. I won't lie. But yeah, so you obviously did not like it at all, and you think because they had too much time. I think Duke Nukem Forever wasn't it thrown back and forth between a bunch of different developers though.
I think it took about 10 years.
I think that's not just a time thing. I think that's it was being thrown back and forth like a dead piece of meat between developers thing. Like that's a problem.
That's fair.
When it's constantly being switched.
Yeah.
But I know what you mean. Like I'm not saying obviously taking too much time with the game can be a problem too. But I don't think. What would it be? 20 months or 30 months.
3 years, I think, is a good development cycle.
That's a good development cycle. Imagine if Bethesda can do that with, what is it, like 5 years? 6 years?
The thing is, if you think about it this way, Fallout New Vegas, after a year of release, was really good. Like, if they had just done all that they did after release, the year after release, before it got released, it would have come out really good. Like, if you think about it that way. Because they shut down their studios, they shut down production of the game about a year after release.
Oh, I was like, wait, what? Obsidian shut down. I think our entire theory is broken.
Well, they did. They left. They shut down the old building. They moved buildings when New Vegas closed. So I always think of it as like a like a shutdown. Because I remember there was a tweet like, "We turned off the lights today." It's like,
oh God!
Yeah.
Did they have a meme from Friends posted?
You mean from Cheers?
I was gonna. Either Friends or Cheers. Like I always see memes posted of the last episode of Friends when Chandler turns off the light of the apartment.
Now I think about it, that was probably a Cheers reference.
That probably was. Yeah. Everything's a Cheers reference in
sitcoms.
In sitcoms. Yeah. Whether they try to not make it a reference or not, it's accidentally a reference. Yeah. Just when any character comes in and the audience laughs, that's a Cheers reference. You know, like. So yeah, what were we talking? So basically, that's that. Yeah, we're both, I think, fans of them getting a little more time to develop the game. At the same time, I would love the game as soon as possible, but the more time they have to make a better game, I'm all for that. Now
I'm at this point where like I don't even really care. In terms of like, I
don't even give a shit. Why are we even making this video? Fuck you!
No, but it's like there's so many great games coming out these days. That's like
there is. I have so many games to play.
I got like, new games, and you know me, I don't buy a lot of new games. I got 2 new games coming out this.
I have so many old games I need to play, and I have a bunch of new games that are coming out, And I have games that I
Deus
still
Ex
want.
4 on Tuesday.
And fuck it, if
World of Warcraft Legion at the end of the month.
And I need to replay Fallout New Vegas again this year.
I tried that earlier. I was just like, nah.
Bruh.
Nah, it's the 12th time is probably not
Too much.
Too much, yeah.
Too much.
I was like, I know everything that's going on. It's like,
that's why my next playthrough is going to be a YOLO playthrough. I'm going to see how far I can get because they made a mod for it. It's pretty great. You think Prim?
No.
I'm going to be extra cautious. I think I can get to like the strip ish. I'm hoping, but we'll see. I mean, I'm nowhere near as good as the man, the legend, but
So Fallout New Orleans, I think I have concerns with the new Fallout engine. In that
the engine, okay. I thought you were going to say the location.
No, I have no real problems with the location.
Yeah, I mean, we talked, so the engine. I think it's hard for me to see what parts of the. I agree with you. A lot of problems with the engine, but for me, it's hard to pick out what are problems with the engine and what are problems with what the developers did with the engine. If you know what I mean, like an engine can be so flexible that a lot of the problems I'm like, well, is that a problem with the engine or is that a problem with the application of the engine in this case? And it's hard to say.
The thing is, I think the way I can separate is I look at if I compare Fallout 3 to Fallout 4, I think I can see because I prefer Fallout 4 generally to Fallout 3. I can see generally, but I think the Fallout 3 engine, looking at it, is better. I think I can separate that and say that I think the Fallout 3 engine is better, and just the game development stuff they did in Fallout 4 was a better idea.
Yeah.
Which is why I think I got a problem with the engine, but it looks pretty.
It looks beautiful. In a
different way, because I think
it's a different style. And I think here's the thing: like Fallout 4 vanilla looks pretty in a cartoony way. Fallout New Vegas with mods looks pretty in a more, I think, realistic way. You know what I mean? Like a more high definition sort of.
I think the style, if you're gonna call what Fallout 4 is vanilla, cartoony, then I think the style is very similar to what you see in New Vegas modded. Like it's just high definition kind of cell stuff. I think
it depends on what mods you're using, I suppose. But
yeah, I'm talking about like NMCs with Paco Bueno.
Paco Bueno.
That's right?
I think so. It's a funny name.
It is. Which I think is the standard setup for most people. I know there are tons of different configurations.
I mean, you can just load the fucking world up and let your game crash if you want. Like all the mods, just like every graphic texture mod you can find, just throw it in the cart and have fun.
So one of the commenters are asking, will the Enclave be in New Orleans?
That's a great question to talk about. The Enclave.
Sure.
So last time we checked in on them, there was a small group of them doing some heroic things out west, and a large group of
wasteland
and a large group of them being unfairly treated in the east. Hey guys, we want to fix this water project and give free water to everyone. Nah, you're not allowed to do that.
Hey, President Eden, why don't you blow up the Enclave? Okay.
No, that's so true. The only genocidal one in them seemed to be President Eden. And it was obvious that he wasn't calling the shots anymore. So it's like, why do we still have a fight? Who knows? Yeah. Anyway, obviously, it's possible for them to put the Enclave in. Maybe the Enclave. I don't need the Enclave to be in. I feel like if the last time we ever see the Enclave in their like truest form is Ganon leading the charge at Hoover Dam, I am fine with that. Like that's a beautiful end.
I think the thing is what they come from is more than just the
even if it's a slightly buggy end, because sometimes they just walk in circles.
I think when you look at what they come from, it goes beyond just the characters they were given out west, and I think they were pretty like nationwide kind of thing. And I do expect it, because this is a new location. This is something without previous lore for the most part. If it does happen,
I think there's zero lore about the state of Louisiana.
So I expect to see them, and I would imagine so. Yeah.
You think you'll see them?
Yeah.
Interesting. I think
the immediate thought I had was if they're starting something there, then they might go back to their roots and do the same kind of storytelling stuff. Where the first game we have in Louisiana is the Brotherhood being secretive and shit and lots of little towns. And then if they go back to Louisiana, they'll have the Enclave take over. Because that's kind of what they've done pretty much everywhere.
And then if they go back again,
then there'll be a city set up, gambling, and a random AI with an almost dead dude who's... Yeah.
So pretty much we just want them to re-release their old games. No, I think...
I would go for a Fallout 1 and 2 game on the Fallout 4 engine.
Yeah, I'd kill for that. I'd do some dark shit for that. But
you keep saying that. I want to know what the next podcast will be. Marshall's dark shit. Well, we'll go through it all.
Like we'll go through all the dark shit. Like that's a fun drinking game. What dark shit would you do to achieve your goals? No,
how would you get a drinking game out of that? Oh, drink. I would do this and then drink if you would do it. Yeah, okay. Like I said.
Yeah. So
like never would. Yeah.
Yeah. Like, would you kill a panda bear to like get this game out?
Everyone drinks. Yeah.
Basically, one thing I don't know about. I'm not so sure as you that the Enclave will be in it because I think Obsidian is not afraid to just let something go when they're done with it. And I personally think they're done with the Enclave. So unless Bethesda's like, you have to have the Enclave, I don't.
Well, the thing
know
is that
I
don't think the Enclave are this thing where every branch of the Enclave has the same goals, and I think they are something
like the
that
Brotherhood
exists everywhere. Yeah, in a way. But the Brotherhood are kind of a thing that developed though, whereas the Enclave are literally just pre-war government. I mean, I'm pretty sure they would be pretty much everywhere.
I mean. It's possible, yeah. It's possible they could have cells throughout, But one thing I think is interesting about New Orleans is it allows for a lot of factions. I think it all depends on what happened, what the canon ending, we'll call it, for New Vegas is. I think that, depending on what that is, it changes the scenery of New Orleans. Because if you think about it, so let's say that the NCR won.
Here's a bold prediction. I think Fallout New Orleans is going to be set before Fallout New Vegas in 3.
That would be cool.
I think it's going to be set around the turn of the century, the 2200.
I think assuming if it was set after, though, if the NCR won the Battle of Hoover Dam, it's possible they could have expanded out towards the frontier.
I think it's also possible that...
and if the Caesar's Legion won, which I don't think is going to be the canon ending.
I think if Caesar's Legion loses, they could expand out that far. They're like, okay, we can't take that side.
Maybe they're pushed back.
Yeah.
And instead of Kaiser's like, okay, well I can either just lose what I have, or I can just retreat and start conquering this weak ass territory back here. That's possible. And if the ending which is canon is House or Yes Man, which I think both are possibly the canon endings. I think it's also possible that the Legion is like, okay, well, we can't take the Hoover Dam now because House is the dick, so we'll go out west, or we'll go out east. We'll go southeast. So yeah, I think it's possible we'll see Kaiser's Legion or the NCR at New Orleans. I think it's almost certain that we'll see new factions with new problems and new situations that we can't even predict.
I imagine we see the Brotherhood.
Almost all, it's probable. No. Maybe a contingent from the new East Coast thing. They have airships now, so they're portable as fuck. You know, like they can just be there in like a day. They're like, we're here. I think it's possible to see a contingent. I don't think we'll see much though from the Eastern Brotherhood because I don't think Obsidian's allowed to mess at all with Bethesda's stuff.
Well, I think they'd have.
They'd have to work with them closely if they were going to do that.
No, I don't think it'll be the Eastern Brotherhood. I think it'll probably be a different branch. Yeah.
Maybe like the re-rise of the Western Brotherhood. Like maybe they've
I think I'll just be. I think it won't.
The
be
rebirth.
I don't think
you think it'll be just entirely new?
Maybe
chapter.
Isn't there like a Texas Brotherhood of Steel?
Totally not. It's non-canon. Non-canon.
Non-canon right now. It could be resurrected into canon.
That's true. It could be resurrected, or just they could have a Louisiana Brotherhood of Steel. They're like,
yeah, of course, yeah.
And most of their technology is around fishing.
although, if I'm right on my very old, like hasn't been updated in a while Brotherhood of Steel knowledge, it has to have somehow come from the Western Brotherhood of Steel, right? Like it has to, like
all brotherhoods have to have come from the West. Like even the Eastern chapter is originally a contingent that was set.
I know the Eastern chapter is, but I was wondering whether all of the like spin-off chapters
I think anything that call themselves the Brotherhood come from the West.
Unlike the Enclave, the Brotherhood was very originating. Like they were one group that spread out. Yeah.
They rose from the ashes of the old world.
Yes.
So like even the crazy Chicago Brotherhood is from the Western Brotherhood.
This is a good one. Someone in the comments is asking about the power armor in Fallout 4. And that's a really big step backwards.
I called it. I just want to say.
What, ages ago before the game came out?
Well, this is just something I hold pride in, because when we first saw the pictures of the game, I said to everyone, I was like, "Oh, look, it's new power armor," and everyone said, "No, it's not. That's T-34." And I was like, "No, it's new. It's changed a little bit. It's like at a different angle. It's like slightly angled, and it's just like slightly different." And people were like, "No, it's not new." And then we got in the game and it was fucking new.
So I don't like the power armor in Fallout 4.
I don't like, so I'm not a huge, I don't have really okay, there's a few reasons I don't like T60. One,
I love the designs. I hate the gameplay.
I hate the gameplay, and I don't like the idea of there being a new design, because eventually we get into this like arms race of every game there's a new design. It's like, how many designs did America make?
Yeah, I also think lore-wise the only new design should be coming from the Enclave.
Exactly. The T-51B lore-wise was supposed to be the most advanced variant of power armor. So the only way T-60 can exist, I guess, is if it was like this. Here's the thing. Another thing that is weird is XO1 and T-60, they should both be like these incredibly rare prototypes that were never mass-produced, but there are tons of them that you can find in Fallout 4. XO1 should be very rare. You shouldn't be able to find 6 suits of XO1. You shouldn't, and I don't think you should be able to find a bunch of suits of T60, because it doesn't make sense that if the pre-war government made mass-produced T60, then why have we not heard about it before? It conflicts with the lore, in my opinion. That's why I'm not a fan of that. Now, we can get into the gameplay, which is more serious.
That's Bethesda in a nutshell, really.
As far as the power armor in Fallout 4, it is incredibly overpowered. It makes the game so ludicrously easy, it's not even fun.
I go the opposite direction. I never use it because it's too much of a hassle.
Oh, okay. That's interesting. So you think it's hassle because of the I think they tried to balance it out by saying, okay, you need to use these power cells, right? And that's why it's balanced. But the thing is, by 20 hours into the game, I have so many that I can wear that stuff constantly and never run out. I will never run out of those cells. And I can run around constantly in those things. I have to try to burn.
I was thinking about it, though, and I'm like, I can't be asked to think about it. Plus, I think, doesn't it slow you down? It slows you down, doesn't it?
What slows you down?
Wearing power armor.
I think it might. I'm not sure.
It feels like it's just so clunky.
Yeah, no. It definitely feels clunky, and it feels weird talking to people in it.
Yeah, and
like,
getting out of it and getting back into it, it's just so annoying.
I think the animation's awesome, but you're right.
It's cool looking, yeah, sure. I mean, that's Fallout 4 in a nutshell, isn't it? It looks cool, but it's really annoying.
I think they sort of also, like, it's never... Also, one thing, you don't need power armor training, there's a lot of things they were just like, hey, there's pre-established lore that in the past we have followed. In Fallout 3, we agreed with this lore, and now we're like throwing it out. Like, you agreed that power armor training was a thing, and you agreed that just once you have power, like, one thing, if you constantly need these power cells, how is the Brotherhood functioning without constantly scavenging for these things? They would just all the time be scavenging, or they would capture some sort of plant and reestablish it, just producing. I guess that's fair. Maybe they have a factory.
I'm going to make a comparison here to Pokemon, right? Because Pokemon as a series suffers from a problem. It's actually the opposite problem to all of the other Nintendo series, where Pokemon are constantly introducing new features, right? But in recent, and obviously Pokemon do this thing where they remake old games quite often. But the thing that happened in the recent generations, they introduced this massive new feature that changed the way kind of Pokemon worked. And then for the remakes, they were like, wait, how is this new feature in the remakes, even though it wasn't in the old games, which are also canon, and these games are canon.
Yeah.
And it ended up leading to a side story in the newest games, where they explain that these new games are in a completely alternate universe to the old games, and the two universes exist side by side, are like feeding off of each other, and one has to die so the other can live. That is how complicated Pokemon has gotten because they introduced these new features.
Yeah, I would say this, and here's the sad thing. You leave the old pre-war stuff the way it is, it will just always be that way. It'll just be a feature of the series. But you can always make new items, because guess what? Fallout is a post-World War that is war world.
You certainly can't in the East, where, like,
it's constant. What I'm saying
is advanced.
No, but it's constantly evolving. Okay, let's say the civilization is advanced. Let's play with that. You have tons of different raider and scavenged armor that you can be wearing. Your definition of new armor does not have to be fancy, shiny armor. If your game is focusing on the apocalyptic aspects of it and it's not as developed, then have tons of selections of new armor every game that is post-war, that was designed by some crazy tinkerer, okay? And that doesn't conflict with the story at all. You can make really cool-looking armors that isn't power armor, that wasn't made before the war. I think
Well, all
for
power armor is made before the war, but sure.
what? Yeah, but most of it, and the ones
Actually,
that
I would say the Enclave produced stuff is probably more than what was produced pre-war. Probably. They probably produced more of it.
You think there are more Enclave suits of armor? I don't know about that. I don't know how many. I don't think so. Then the entirety of the fully like
they produced
maneuvered...
it for like 150 years, and they suited up multiple armies. Like
yeah, but like America's like at the time of the game, it was like 400 million people gearing up for war.
Yeah. Like,
over the course of 2 decades.
I also think when you compare the how often they appear in the games too, I would at least I would say it's close at the very least.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, according to Fallout 4, XO1 powers armor is everywhere.
Wait, is XO1's the one that looks like Enclave armor, right?
Yeah.
What's the lore behind that?
I have no clue.
Okay.
There is no lore. There's no lore. It's just a cool item. They just like cool items, and that is basically Todd Howard walks into a room. He's like, "Hey, that looks cool." And there's probably some dude at Bethesda who's like researched all this shit, and he's like, "Oh, yeah, it looks cool, but we can't really do anything with that." He's like, "Nah, let's do something with that." And he's like, "No, sir. Like, if we're gonna do something with that,
it's okay. We're gonna give them the choice."
Okay.
Do they want Brotherhood-looking armor or Enclave? But we don't have Enclave in our game. Yeah, but it looks like the Enclave, and it was.
And he's like, okay, sir, let's do it. Let's do a compromise. Maybe we make it a really special item that you have to do this whole quest line to get. He's like, nah, fuck it. Let's have him find it in like 8 different warehouses. And he's like, wait, what?
Let's make this power armor that looks like Enclave armor, but that doesn't make sense in the canon. It's fine. Let's take Brotherhood of Steel. Let's take tactics, not canon anymore. We good? All right, we good. Still not good? Alright, Fallout 1 and Fallout 2, not canon anymore. We good?
Well, it's not like members of the Brotherhood are wearing the Enclave-looking armor, but...
Yet. Wait until Fallout 5.
Oh, yeah, they're all wearing it. Which,
all wearing it.
If they make that a part of the story, I guess,
this Fallout will be like 50 years before Fallout 3, and they'll be wearing all Enclave armor.
Oh, God. No.
And it'll be advanced Enclave armor. It'll be like Hellfire armor.
Hey, yeah, there was Hellfire armor in Fallout 3 Broken Steel, Kyrian is making reference to.
Yeah, because they did it, at least in Fallout 3, they actually, they explained that. They had, the whole project and stuff, didn't they?
Yeah, and that was cool. That was a cool
And even
bit
in
of
Fallout
story.
New Vegas, they expanded on that because they moved the research, didn't they?
No, Hellfire armor is a cool bit of story. Yeah, and exactly. They reference it in New Vegas. Unfortunately, Eddie got fucked because of it.
Eddie died so Hellfire armor could live, and also the NCR
much.
and the Legion could live later. Eddie died a lot so people can live. Hellfire
armor lived so that Eddie could make a cool road trip across the country.
Where he gets shot at the end of it.
Kyrian says, Todd in a nutshell, we are going to scrape power armor training. The team says why? Because money. He seems to have Todd Howard's main motivation nailed down.
Yeah.
We're
gonna make a mobile game. Okay, but what do you want the mobile game to be? I
don't mind. Hey, I don't mind the mobile game. To be fair, I don't have any problems with it. Whatever. It's a fun little game. It doesn't conflict. It doesn't have anything to do with the story or the canon.
Have you not gone far enough in it yet to see all the lore that's in there?
Is there? I'm pretty sure you just run around shooting things, but it's pretty much Fallout 4 in a mobile game.
I didn't think you shot things. I thought you just managed to vault.
Well, you manage to vault, and you send your little vault dwellers, and when people get near them, they shoot them. But you don't control them. They shoot them automatically.
So it sounds like Warlords of Draenor, where you don't do any of the adventuring, you just send other people out to do the adventuring.
Yeah, and they come back and they tell you what they found and what they fought. It's kind of cool, actually.
That's exactly like Warlords of Draenor.
Well, they said they basically copied the game from 8 other games, so they probably played that, and they were like, hey.
No, the joke is that Warlords of Draenor is a mobile game.
Oh, is it?
It's not a mobile game. It's an expansion for WoW, but it's basically a mobile game.
Oh,
That's the joke.
Anyway.
But for all the cynicism, I think we should take away that this is a very, very competent game development company. And even if the game development company... Let's say worst case scenario, Todd Sawyer is working with the Bethesda team. It's at least going to be better than Fallout 4.
It has to be. Because you said Todd Howard's working with the Bethesda team. You mean Todd Howard's working with the Obsidian team. But yeah.
I mean, Josh Sawyer is working with the Bethesda team.
So there's like a weird mix of people working with other people. And
I mean, it's the entire team that worked on Fallout 4, except Josh Sawyer is there.
And he's leading. Or
Even
he's taking
if he's not. Even if he's not leading, it's still probably going to be better than Fallout 4.
It has to be slightly. There's going to be like at least one quest that he designed.
The addition of Josh Sawyer is a net positive to this game if it happens.
But yeah, he's. I think it'll be like the last Fallout New Vegas. I think they're just going to give full control to Obsidian.
That's best case scenario.
And Todd Howard. I didn't bring this up earlier, but he doesn't ever talk about New Vegas. But he did talk about New Vegas once in an interview. He was asked. This was right after the CEO of Obsidian was asked that, and he said, "Oh, we'd love to make a new Fallout game, but is Bethesda into it? We don't know." And then later, Todd Howard, who is not in charge of making the decision, I think that's like an executive thing. But
Todd Howard is in charge of everything. I keep telling you this. Okay.
Anyway, Todd Howard was asked, "Would you be okay with Obsidian making another Fallout game?" And he was like, "I liked Fallout New Vegas. Yes, I'd be fine with them making a new Fallout game." So, I mean, he could be lying out of his ass.
Chris Avalon's up to these days?
Chris Avalon, I believe, he's no longer working at Obsidian. Oh. He occasionally gets called on as a guest for certain projects. Like I think he's been called on as a guest to work for to make a quest for Bard's Tale 4 with the team at.
I just need Chris Avalon to pump out some Fallout graphic novels on Constant Flow.
Look, what we can do is I can spy on Chris Avalon on his Twitter and just see what
can you tweet at Chris Avalon saying, "Can you take a trip down to Louisiana? There's a project there waiting for you."
And Chris Avalon's just crazy enough to tell us the truth. He's like,
I'm already working on it. It's great.
Yeah.
There are 2 DLCs that I've got fully planned out. One of which involves the Yes Man traveling to Louisiana. Look, it's a big thing. I'll look. PM me. I'll let you know. Look, I hear you got this podcast. It gets 2 viewers. I'll be on there.
I recently actually tweeted at Josh Sawyer asking him what he thinks the canon ending for New Vegas is. Mm-hmm. And he has not replied yet. I think it's because he's feeling the pressure from this. He's like, oh shit, they know, they fucking know. Okay, I'm not going to reply to anyone. Lockdown on all social media.
The guy's a sly bastard. I think he knows what he was doing on that interview. If it is, in fact.
Yeah,
sure.
yeah. I mean, he's. I think he prepared that shit too. If he is lying, he definitely prepared that shit because that was too specific not to be prepared or the truth.
I also do you remember that video you sent me the other day where he's talking about Fallout 3? Just like, I think everyone liked Fallout 3. Just giant smirk, just like.
Wait, what was this?
You know the video the big Fallout 3 retrospective analysis that you linked me the other day?
Oh, the making of documentary. Have you ever watched that, by the way? It's pretty good.
Yes, I have.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
I didn't notice the giant smirk though, where he's like,
no, he's like, what he says is he's like, he says a lot of people like Fallout 3, and then he smirks, he's like, a lot, and then he's like, so, but we wanted to make our game how we made it. He basically said that.
Do you think the protagonist will be voiced in Fallout New Orleans?
I personally think they can do it. They're competent enough to work with it. I think they won't. Because I honestly don't think they'll be. I don't think they'll want to be bothered. But if Bethesda forces,
I think there's only one game that I really loved, like that was really story focused that had a voice protagonist, and that's the Deus Ex series.
Yeah, I don't think the voice protagonist would ruin it. But I hope they don't, because
it's not that the voice protagonist. It's what the voice protagonist forces, because they're like, oh yeah, we've got thousands of lines of dialogue, but the thing is that's still less dialogue than you could say in the older games.
Yeah, like in the newest Tyranny game. I was hearing how many lines they've written so far for it. It's something like It's something like it's ludicrous. It's something like 400,000 lines, and they're not done with the game yet. And
writers do have to be paid, but if you want a voice act, that's literally double, probably more, because voice actors are way more expensive
and they have to
than
do
writers.
multiple takes, and it's like, and they do different styles,
and you obviously want Matthew Perry again, and he's going to cost a fortune.
Yeah, and they have to spend an hour recording names for the robot to say penis, boobies, tit fuck.
I'm getting paid $100,000 an hour for this. Todd Howard's like, yeah, you keep it up, bro. you keep it up.
Keep it up. Say Todd Howard, tit fuck boobies. But oh yeah, definitely. Matthew Perry's making a return. He'll be the voice protagonist.
So let's say this game actually exists.
Could you imagine?
That would be awesome.
Hey, Jive Cat.
What if the game was Benny? What happens if you free Benny? He travels to.
It's a.
If you free him at Kaiser's Fort, he travels to Louisiana.
Yeah.
So if the game does exist, do you think it'll have a voice protagonist?
Dude, I'm pretty sure Chris Avlin's just fucking hanging out with his cats. He's there. I don't think he's working on anything. He was recently in a interview.
Marshall, you are avoiding the questions that our chat have posed to you. Marshall, if the game does exist, will it have a voice protagonist?
I think it will not. If Fallout New Vegas is any indication, I personally think Bethesda gave them mostly entirely creative freedom, but I don't know. Who knows how many?
Less creative. I think they just don't want to give them any money to do the voice acting.
That might be true too, but I don't know how many boxes they were put in. You're right. The money's another thing. It costs so much money, and Bethesda wants to. Here's the thing too. Obsidian with their story merits
was made on a relatively shoestring budget.
Well, the thing is, with Obsidian, they know that Obsidian can make a good game without all the resources that they have. And the only thing Bethesda really has going for them are like those flashy things like, hey, we have a voice protagonist. Hey, we have like new graphics, stuff like that.
Yeah.
And if they give all that to Obsidian, then what does Bethesda have left?
More flashy stuff. We're going to give you more power armor.
Yeah. More power armor. More. Oh my!
In the next game, you'll play as a child who can fire a laser Gatling gun right out of the vault we're going to put you in because we do that every game.
Oh yeah, so basically, probably not going to have a voice protagonist, but if there was, I honestly wouldn't be that concerned about it. I think Obsidian are big enough, mature enough people to work with it and make it work. But yeah, it wouldn't have as many dialogue options, so it would really hamper the game, and they would have to.
Part of me believes they'd say, all right, Bethesda, listen, if you want this voice protagonist, you're going to record all of these lines.
And if you don't, we're putting him in.
Yeah, they're going to be unvoiced. They're like, no, don't do that. Don't do that.
Isometric RPGs do that. Like they'll write all the lines they want, they'll put them in, and they'll record the important ones, but they'll just leave half of them unvoiced.
Well, in Fallout 1 and 2, this isn't voice protagonist stuff, but in Fallout 1 and 2, they had the talking heads, but that was only for like 8 to 10
That was only for very important characters. And then,
sometimes it was weird who they considered very important characters.
That's true. That's true. It was for, we'll say, iconic characters.
I don't know if all 4 of those Brotherhood guys were iconic.
Hey, the guy who made the video did. So, I think... do
you think Ron Perlman's coming back if this game is real?
Yes, of course. Of course Ron Perlman's coming back.
Ron
Perlman's face is going to be plastered on the fucking cover of the game. It's going to be called Fallout Ron Perlman.
Is Ron the narrator, the hero of the game?
Ron will narrate the making of documentary, the game, everything. His picture will be everywhere. They'll have dick pics from him. It'll be crazy.
I'm looking forward to those. I think this was good. I think we had a lot of good talking points here, and I think the one takeaway that we've demonstrated quite well is that if they get the game might not exist, but we think overwhelmingly it points to the game existing.
Look, if it doesn't exist, fuck me. This is the biggest coincidence.
Worst case scenario, we think if the game exists, it's going to be at least slightly better than Fallout 4. Best case scenario, we get another New Vegas game out of it, which is great.
Or possibly better. Theoretically.
Yeah.
It could be
probably
better.
a little worse.
Probably.
And the the biggest takeaway is if this game is happening, we have a lot of concerns about what you can possibly do with the stuff that Fallout 4 did, but we trust the people that would possibly be making this game enough that we have faith that the game would be good. Because
with
those people are really good.
With 18 months and like a dime, they made the best RPG ever made. Okay, I don't know how much money they had. Probably not a lot though. Do you know exactly?
No, I don't.
Yeah,
I do know they didn't get their fucking bonuses though.
Those fucking Nazis.
It's funny you say that. I just on my Twitter a poster for a wrestling show that appears to be funded by the Ku Klux Klan in Mexico.
That cannot be it.
Yeah, so we're going to leave on that note. Overall, we think...
Kieran has another question. Should we answer it?
Okay, sure. Do you want the NCR to return? Do you want the NCR to return? Quick, yes or no? Yes? Yeah. Okay. I do, because I think Fallout is the story about the NCR.
And they're just so much fun.
Yeah. I love to hate them. They're the best heels. We think it's going to happen. We think it's, at the very worst, going to be better than Fallout 4. We're hopeful. We trust the team. And we are hopeful relatively for the future, although I'm not going to let myself get excited because my emotions are fragile. Thank you for watching.
Yeah, that went really well. Making a huge video on it.